So before I start about the diets, it will start at 9:30 because a lot of people are expected to join at 9:30. I want to say a couple of things about our society, as in humans on the planet. That if we are doing anything thoda hatke, but if it is on the worst side, people don't have much objection to it. Uh, that's what I have observed. I mean, there was a phase in my life like 20 years back, not exactly 20, 17, 18 years back. Then I was on a special diet. Okay. And I'll tell you the diet. Me and my friend both were like kind of depressed in life, and we were having meandering, free flowing discussion at night uh, on beer. And we decided that, this body is, it's like a prison and all that shit and all that. We will eat whatever we feel like eating, and let's see what happens. And for 15 days in a row, we ate only pizza, and we drank only beer. I mean, we used to drink water in the morning as well. That was 17, 18 years back for 15 days. And so much so that my friend called, he was hungry for breakfast and there was no pizza at home. So he called Domino's at around 11 o'clock or 10:30, and they said, we have not opened yet. Okay. And we shared this experience. After 15 days, I mean, both of us could not, continue. I started having, stomach cramps, and I started having severe constipation, beer and pizza, nothing else. No tea, coffee, no fruits, no veggies, no chicken. Yeah. But that's not the point. The point is, I shared this experience with many of my friends then, and everybody laughed about it. Everybody said, what an experience, good, you tried. Yeah. Nobody said that you will have cancer or you're going to die. Okay. Everybody laughed about it. I mean, drinking is pretty bad. I mean, kids who are listening now, drinking is pretty bad. And eating pizza laden with so many calories is definitely bad. But nobody said anything bad about us, that this will happen or that will happen. Today, I shared my experience of 1 month of one meal a day diet. And you go and read comment like people are literally wishing that I'm going to die. I'll have stones or I'll have kidney failure and whatnot. Okay. So when you try to do anything different on the worst side, you start smoking, becoming a chain smoker, and all your family will also accept, ठीक है यार, बड़ा हो गया but beta. But if you start doing something good, people will object as if you're going to die tomorrow. That's why I've not told about this diet to my family, I mean, to my parents, because my mom will think that, I'm really sick. She keeps asking me why you're losing so much of weight. She thinks I have cancer or something. Okay. She says, go and get tested with a doctor and so on. So that's my one thing I've observed. Maybe you guys have also observed that when you try to do something which resolves greater discipline, which resolves, which you think is right, maybe you're wrong. No, nobody is an expert. Everybody is trying to figure it out. When you think that you are doing the right thing, it requires discipline. People will object as if you have offended them. That's point number one. Point number two, I wanted to discuss before I start at 9:30 is that as a society we have probably stopped having healthy disagreement. I mean, look at Joe Rogan episode. He said some shit about vaccine or stuff which you don't agree with, right? But absolutely saying that he should not be allowed to speak. Today, the sad news, apart from other many sad news which came today, that Spotify has removed 110 Joe Rogan episodes because it contains either racial slur or something wrong about it. I believe whatever the other person is doing, unless he is harming you personally, even if he's taking horse medicine like ivermectin, or even if he's saying don't get vaccinated or whatever, people should have freedom to say what they want to say. If you want to counter it, you have your own podcast, you have your own advertising, and I mean, it's not that the media is not having any muscle, or the pharma company is not having any muscle. People, this entire cancel culture, that if you're doing something hatke, I will cancel you as a mob, I'll cancel that shouldn't be the case. That's my humble opinion. Now it's going to be 9:30. So I'll first of all I'll attack. Not attack is not the right word. I mean, we are not attacking anything. First of all, I'll talk about my experience with diets and so on, without getting too much into history. Uh, And before I even start, I would say that, everybody's case is definitely unique and different, and there is no one medicine which fits everyone. And as I say in trading also and investment also, bulla ki shana mein kaun. You have to know who you are. Okay, that's the crux of it. Even when it goes to fitness and diet and everything, so you knowing that who you are is very important. And my first serious experiment with diet started again, I think 20 years back. Okay. And I'll not get into why of it, but definitely looking good and weight loss was not the reason of going into a diet. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you, there is nothing hidden about it. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 21. I was chronically depressed and I was stressed, I had anxiety. So in that same episode, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. And I consulted various doctors in Delhi, and I consulted Dr. KK Agarwal also, who unfortunately died with corona. He was a very celebrated doctor. At that point of time, he was at Mulchand Hospital in Delhi. So he told me that if I was at 5'7", I was at 75 kgs, and he said if you reduce your weight by 10 kgs, then maybe this you will not require medicine immediately. And like just crossing teenage, and I didn't want to eat medicine for life. So I really wanted to try hard to reduce my weight, because the good doctor had said that you reduce your salt intake and you reduce your weight by 10 kgs, and maybe you'll not have blood pressure. And I had that all the kidney test and every test, that it was secondary hypertension. It was not, it was genetic basically. My dad also is a hypertensive, and my uncles and so on. This is like all post facto, I'm telling you. But the desire to reduce weight was very hard, and it was not to look good or to have six pack abs. Okay. So I went to for a calorie deficit diet. Okay, 1 hour of brisk walking, because I was told that if you have high blood pressure, don't go for any intense sports. And this was all told by doctors. And don't. I used to be a very keen player of badminton in my college, in my as a teenager. But I was told not do not play any racket sports or any. You don't even do too much of running. So 1 hour of brisk walking I used to do, and I used to do calorie deficit diet. And I mean, I am a big eater, bachpan se. I'll tell you a bachpan ka small story. I went to a birthday party, and the host, I mean, teasing every kid, and I was a 10-year-old kid, said that whoever eats most number of puris will get a prize. Okay. And as a kid, I didn't know that, she was just trying to insult my mom. And I kept on eating puris like 10, then 15, then 20. And my mom is like popping her eyes out, trying to signal it to me that, don't eat too much at somebody else's place. And I ate like insane amount of puris, and I won the prize. So I was a big eater. And my mom, then when I came back, my mom cried like anything. So that's a separate story of some other day. So the thing is, I am a big eater. Like one full butter chicken I can complete by my own. In Delhi they give you full size butter chicken. In Amritsar I can complete on my own. I don't need a helping hand there. So being a big eater myself, and then going on a calorie deficit diet 20 years back, I started losing weight. 1 hour of brisk walk, 2 to 3 kg I used to lose every month. And I had a fixed like every day I used to eat like the tomato ka chutney, and then thoda sa ubla hua lauki, thoda sa ubla hua bindi, and do roti, and all vegetarian diet, no non-veg, nothing. I didn't know all this at that point of time. Okay. And I was losing around 2 kg, and every day, you'll not believe, every day on a आटे वाली दुकान जहाँ पे आटा चक्की होती है, बिकॉज आई डिडंट हैव अ वेइंग स्केल, वहां जाके एक्यूरेट वेट मेजर करके मैं लिखता था रोज. And 2 kg around I was losing, and from 75 I came to 65. Okay. So unfortunately मेरा blood pressure का medicine नहीं खत्म हुआ. Okay. It didn't go away. But those 4 months, in 4 months I lost around 10 kg. Definitely. So calorie deficit does work. People who in my comment are coming and saying, oh, go for calorie deficit, it does work. Definitely. Things which I noticed and I can't forget right now is I was perpetually hungry. Being a big eater myself, I was perpetually hungry, always hungry. And I don't like sweets or anything, bachpan se, but that those 4 months, if somebody is eating rasgulla, or if somebody is eating, pani puri, like literally salivating. I was like hungry all the time. If you wake me at 2 o'clock in the night, I'm hungry. That kind of thing. So that's about calorie deficit. It definitely works. I have tried it. I tried it once more, but I'll not elongate this story like too much. I tried it and it definitely works. Can it be a lifestyle for 15 years, 20 years, 50 years? My humble answer is no. When you have high carb calorie deficit diet, you're always hungry, literally hungry. Okay. Then I once the medicine of blood pressure started, I went on my own and I didn't think too much about weight loss and so on. Then what happened was that probably yeah just before I was going to get married, I thought, why not give a weight loss a serious chance again? And I started reading a lot. By the time internet had come, so I read a lot and I stumbled upon this low carb diet and intermittent fasting. Okay. So I tried both. I'll not get into too much into detail of it. Um, these two things worked. Okay. Uh, and just like basically, it's also a form of calorie deficit, but here in intermittent fasting as well and in low carb, like when I'm saying low carb, like really low carb diet, you don't feel always hungry. That's what I observe. You don't. First 4 5 days you feel like eating carbs, you feel like eating pizza or rice or pasta, but after 4 4 5 days that that hunger for carbs goes away. And this intermittent fasting also works, and low carb diet also works, and I believe, it's my personal opinion, it can be done for a longer duration. So this low carb diet I did for 4 to 5 years, and I did not lose any significant weight, but like definitely I felt more energetic, and I was losing like slowly. Those 4 years, I lost a good amount of weight. Intermittent fasting I am doing for last 8 or 9 years now, and I have kept on varying the time. I started with first meal at 12 o'clock, then 2 o'clock, and then last three, you can say last 3 years, I was having first meal post market, like 3:30 ke baad hi khana khana. So that was it. I was doing, and definitely it helps you be more alert, and it helps you more energetic. Definitely, market hours, I felt more alive and alert and so on. And so I thought, why not? I was other day having a discussion with Nikhil, and he showed me that Jack Dorsey of Twitter, the founder of Twitter, he goes for one meal a day, and then Lex Friedman also talked about that he eats only one meal a day, and then I searched that a lot of big celebrities are eating only one meal a day. I thought they are lying. I mean, how can someone survive at one meal a day? And then I thought, why not? I should try it myself. And then I read a lot of literature. It's not that I read about it one page and I started doing it. I read a lot of literature. And few pointers which I came to know about is that when you're doing one meal a day, don't go carb heavy. I mean, it has to be low carb for sure. Otherwise, next day you will start feeling hungry around 10 11 o'clock. Because in last 1 month, couple of days, it has happened that I have eaten too much of pizza and so on, and the next day I felt hungry. And second thing, which again I was warned that don't go for too much of booze consumption, so drinking. So a couple of days I did that, and then next day I was hungry and irritable as well. So this was my experience of one meal a day. I have stopped measuring my weight or something, but in last 10 years or 12 years, I will say I am having similar belts, and I have gone right now. I have gone to the last buckle of my belt. Like अब इससे पतला हो जाऊंगा तो I will have to buy a new belt. That kind of weight loss I've seen. So today, a lot of respected doctors also came on my timeline. Few of them praised, and few of them, tried to warn me of the risk, etc. And I respect modern science doctors or allopathic doctors a lot, because they go through a rigorous exam, and then they publish a lot of literature, and then going through MS or MD, and then being in a position to write medicine and all. It's in India, it's one of the most credible hardworking field. I mean, unless you are really hardworking, you can't be a doctor. But I had my fair share of brush with doctors. First of all, they don't have much time when you go for consultation, and if you tell them a detailed story about your diet and so on, they will give you a very generic advice. Very few doctors will give you specific advice. What are the pros and cons and so on. So I welcome any of you who is a doctor to advise me of any dangers which are there of one meal a day and so on. I'll also discuss if anybody wants to try it out. What are the do's and don'ts? Probably later on. Not many doctors I see right now. Dr. Srinivas is with us. He is there in many of my spaces. And so, first of all, I would invite his views on. I'm doing like one meal a day with low carb. My carbs are like 10 to 12, 10 to 20% of the total meal, and rest of it is half of it is protein and half of it is protein and fat. Yeah, and only I read yeah, one more pointer I read that when you're eating everything within 1 hour, make sure that you are not under nutritioned. Like so, I'm in the morning I'm taking a multivitamin pill around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, which is rich is in zinc and magnesium. And then in the evening, I'm trying that I get a lot of calcium and potassium and everything. So I eat bananas, I eat berries, I eat kajus. Like I eat like a pregnant woman. Like पहले तो मैं पिज्जा भी खा लेता था बर्गर भी खा लेता था अभी मुझे 1 घंटे में सब कुछ चाहिए सो टुडे आई ate banana I ate strawberry I ate kajus I eat मूंगफली then I ate chicken as well and I ate pizza as well. So these kind like I'm like a pregnant woman. I'm very mindful of what I am eating, and I'm trying to balance all the nutrition as much as I know about nutrition. I'm not an expert, and so far. Today and yesterday I went out and I this was a very regular I went out in the morning at 8 o'clock, came back by 6 o'clock, and I was not at all hungry at all. Okay, not even 1%. Not tired. Even I was having more energy, and but I was always thirsty and like drank some 6 liter of water during the day, both the days when I'm out, and obviously I'm urinating a lot. So yeah, so this has been my experience so far. So Dr. Srinivas, you would want to add something?
Yeah, Anand, thank you for having this space, and also thank you for inviting me. What you're doing is basically like predominantly keto-based diet with less of carbs. So as you said, like when we have kind of one meal a day, our body kind of shifts from like carb-based metabolism to like kind of fat-based metabolism. So it takes time for brain to get used to like only ketone bodies which are available for majority of the time, and occasionally when you have food you have some like a carb boost, so that kind of like may have some effect. For example, if you eat after so many hours, you have also kind of initially you tried after market hours, right? So initially when you have a meal for some minutes to hours, you may have some sluggishness, but after that the rest of the time, say this other 20 hours of like 23 hours, like rest of the waking time, you'll be like feeling reasonably well, because brain has got used to kind of metabolizing ketones. For normal people, like for example, like brain uses both ketones and also like glucose. So your brain like has kind of adapted, like so people on ketones, like fat based, predominantly fat based diet, brain kind of gets used to ketones alone. So like you are following, I think, all the precautions, you're taking multivitamins, you're maintaining the very good like water intake, then you also take like bananas, berries for like electrolyte needs. So what appears like your diet appears like reasonably balanced, so you may not experience like the kind of side effects people are warning about. Then again, regarding gallstones, so when you start taking like calorie deficit diet, and again it's like predominantly fat based diet, the rest of the fat in rest of your body has to go again to the liver, then again it gets metabolized. So that is where the issue of like gallstones kind of comes up. So that is a certain risk. Anybody who is losing weight very fast, they have two things. One is like fatty liver, then the other thing is like gallstones. This risk is certainly there. So people who go through starvation, or people who do fasting, or people who make radical changes in diet, they are at higher risk of gallstones. So sometimes, like if your liver function test, if there is some derangement and if there is some change, people like tend to give some supplements prophylactically or keep monitoring very closely. So any kind of dietary experiment should be gradual. Gradual change is sustainable. For example, you can gradually cut the people who are like trying to attempt any kind of new dietary regimen, make gradual changes. So it's like more of a lifestyle modification rather than like just dietary modification. Then again, it's very individual, right? Whatever diet you are eating today may not be healthy, right? But it may be socially acceptable. Your mother would be eating, father would be eating, people around you would be eating. So no experiment is like good or bad. So whatever suits you. For example, if you are feeling unhealthy, you are having some other medical conditions, it's better to like kind of change things for better, right? Your family, just because your family has a dietary pattern, it doesn't mean that that is like good or that's the one to follow. So it's like good to experiment, but take some informed decisions. For example, like as Anand also said, so most modern medicine doctors don't pay much attention to diet. For example, even the initial advice which was provided to him when he developed hypertension doesn't seem to be so appropriate at such an early age. Avoiding like for example racket sports and other things is not a good idea. He could have very well continued with them, which could have even helped with this hypertension and other things. So yeah, there is like it's a mixed bag, and again there are so many influencers and so many like dietitians, fitness coaches, like who kind of exploit this kind of space left. So just like market advisors, nobody knows where the market is going to go, right? So there are so many forecasters. So same with fitness, there are so many fitness influencers who just speak trash. So it's good to do your own research and also like take advice from like a good doctor. So currently we have endocrinologists, we have very good specialists who will help you to kind of monitor. And very particularly like pediatricians are very good with diet because they take care of like nutrition for children and other um, like for majority of like children, particularly children, like the parents are also very fussy about nutrition choices and other things. So pediatricians are generally very good with nutrition, calorie counting, and planning dietary regimens. So as Dr. Om Prakash has come, now I like to hand over the mic to him and kind of listen to him. Any questions, Anand? I'll take some questions, then like Dr. Om can continue.
Yeah, sir. Basically, you said that the weight loss has to be gradual, and I believe that I mean the little more background to it. I last year, like 13 months back, I had COVID during first wave, and I was like bedridden for almost 40 days. And out of those 40 days, my oxygen level had also dropped, although I was not hospitalized. So I had developed moderate to severe COVID pneumonia, and I was given steroids for 40 days. Like, yeah, 40 days, yeah. And I gained some 15 kg of weight, and I was like always hungry. And then good doctor told me that, right now the survival is paramount and body has to heal. So I used to eat like, and I had special craving for onion and tomato. So I used to eat like 8 to 10 tomatoes and 8 to 10 onions, cooking all my by myself at 3 a.m. in the night, because I was always hungry. And my wife had given up after I had shown a lot of good recovery. She said, "Why don't you cook your own meals?" I mean, so I was always hungry, and I gained around 15 kg. So my weight reached 90 kg at 5'7". So coming from there. I had a lot of excess weight, and then all the lockdown and no movement and all. So I was carrying that kind of weight. And 2 months back, I decided to do something about it. So I started serious yoga as well and brisk walking for 1 hour. So 2 hours of physical activity. And then since 1st of January, I have started this one meal a day diet. So this is the background. And Dr. Om Prakash joined a little late, so I just want to brief that I'm taking one multivitamin around 11 o'clock, and I'm eating like a pregnant woman, trying to balance all my macros in the sense I'm eating bananas, berries, kajus, kishmish, and mungfali, and also like chicken. And consciously, I'm eating less and less of carb unless I'm having a craving. I eat like a very very small 3-4 spoons of rice, just for the name of it, and I'm eating curd. I can't take milk because I'm lactose intolerant, so I take a decent amount of curd. and in 1 hour I try to pack as much as possible. I'm like really full. So yeah, my question to Dr. Srinivas, you said that any sudden weight loss. So my understanding is I was carrying already a lot of excess weight which went away in a month. Now as I'm not counting my calories as such, so I think now it will be like gradual, because we I can't be losing like 10 kgs every month, right? So so now it will be like 1 or 2 kgs, or maybe it will maintain at this point of time.
Yeah, now the best thing is to get your blood test done, like get all your like liver enzymes and other things done. Probably also get an ultrasound done, see like if there is fatty liver or any other thing, like how is your gallbladder and stuff. So get like a good test done, like whole test done, then lipid profile and how it is changing over time. I think like rather than 1 meal a day, like 2 meal a day will be like reasonable. For example, in the morning you can have a reasonably keto based diet, like no carbs at all, right?
Yeah,
Minimal carbs. For
yeah,
example, you can have eggs or other things in the morning. Then towards the evening, you can have a diet with a little bit of carbs, because carbs also help you sleep and like relax. So there are like some good things with carb also. Like it's not like all bad. So rather than having like dumping, like having so much food at one time, you can make it like two or something which is more sustainable, right? Your family members also will feel that okay, morning like they have had food before going to office or stuff. So you can have a kind of like a protein and fat rich diet in the morning. Then towards evening you can have a little bit of carbs which will help you sleep and have like kind of relaxed evening time.
yeah. That's a
So
good
it all
idea.
depends upon what kind of suits you. Like, so don't attempt anything very radical or fast, right? And again, the kind of motivation you had for initial months will also kind of go away. So after that, whenever you feel hungry, you'll be kind of um, anyway. Obviously, like you will feel hungry like a little bit. So you may kind of go on with that kind of natural times, but it's better to take like two a day is like more sustainable. But anyway, it's individual. If you are able to go on with this, like who can stop you? So we
Yeah,
can get some views
yeah.
from Dr. Om Prakash. Yeah.
Yeah, two questions I had. I got disconnected. My first question, sir, is that you said about gallbladder stone and kidney stone. So, like, what are the early signs or marker test which I should request my physician to advise for specifically for stones?
Yeah.
That's question
So,
number one.
so
Yeah,
yeah, gallstones are more common. Regarding renal stones, I am not aware about because like when you go for starvation, possibly like because of redistribution of like the electrolytes, there may be risk of kidney stones, but for which you are having decent water intake and stuff. Regarding gallstones, yeah, because like whenever fat goes from all the peripheral fat goes to like liver, right, to get kind of
metabolize.
metabolized and other things, then again your gallbladder is where like this the metabolites come and they have to be reabsorbed. So it's a kind of complex lipid metabolism which takes place. So there is certain risk of like gallstones. So there is risk of deposition of all this peripheral fat into the liver, which is called fatty liver. But actually, like excess carbohydrate intake is to be blamed for the fatty liver rather than like pure increased fat intake or starvation. But because I am so much out of touch with all this metabolism because of my like psychiatry this thing, I think like we can invite
Yeah,
this endo people and Dr. Om Prakash to
yeah.
kind
I
of
was hoping that
explain more
more
details.
doctors will join, but I think today being a Sunday, I think this is the
Yeah,
only day most of the doctors get off.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so what are the early markers or blood tests for gallstone which can be
So,
ordered or
so you can do like liver enzymes that will exactly show
okay?
like the extent of fatty liver or liver damage. Then there are certain like other chemicals also which like I cannot like recall immediately now. Maybe I'll send you via DM. But if Dr. Om Prakash remembers, he can kind of like help you out.
Yeah. And
Hi,
second
I'm
question is,
Dr. Pallavi this side. I've been hearing this discussion for a long time. May I please interrupt for a minute?
Yeah,
As it's
sure,
please.
sure,
really
please go
getting
ahead.
pretty late and I might just sleep off in a while. So, yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I actually didn't even know much about spaces, but today I've got to know an interesting topic of discussion, exactly what is my forte and my passion. And for the introduction of everybody, I would like to tell that I'm sure most of you know me, but for those who don't, I'm an MBBS from the KG Medical College. I'm 1989 batch, and I'm an MD radiology from SGPGI where I've been a gold medalist all my life, and I had a gold medal in MD radiology as well. So my story was pretty much similar to what you just told about your story, Anand, being a pretty, plump child, plump teenager, and I'm sure I.
I think we lost audio with her. Is she audible to others?
No, I
No,
guess
no, no,
not.
no. We are also not able to hear.
Okay, we'll wait for her to rejoin. My second question was, sir, that I read in literature, or maybe I read in Lex Friedman's interview with one of the doctors in Harvard, was that when we are having one meal a day, the entire body's metabolism and the insulin spike happens in such a way that brain and the body gets adjusted in such a way that we don't feel hungry throughout the day. And I'm also experiencing the same thing. I don't feel hungry till 7 o'clock, not at all. Like I
Yeah.
cook food for my children in the morning, all the cheese and toast and pizza also I cook in the morning, and till in the evening also I cook for my children. I don't feel hungry at all, like not even
Yeah.
one
So
percent.
you have like kind of moved to proper like ketone metabolism. Your brain has kind of adapted to surviving on ketones. So normally brain survives on both ketones and glucose. So your body is like your brain is kind of able to kind of function without glucose itself, like uh, like low levels of glucose, but only with ketones as the fuel.
And
Usually, like even normal people, like in the night, there are times when blood glucose level would be dropping, and brain would survive on.
okay. We lost audio with Dr. Srinivas as well. Is he audible to others, Ashutosh?
No, he's not.
Okay, so uh, Dr. Om Prakash, I would love to hear your comments on whatever we have discussed so far.
Hello, Anandji.
जी
Thanks
सर
for
बोलिए.
inviting me to the spaces. Uh, Actually, इस टॉपिक में तो एक्सपर्ट मैं भी नहीं हूँ, बीइंग अ पीडियाट्रिशियन, बट जितना बेसिक एक बीइंग अ एमबीबीएस एंड पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट जितना हमें पता है, सबसे पहले एक बात बताना चाहूँगा मैं, जो बेसिक है, जो भी हम डाइट की भी बात करें ना, उसमें पुराना मतलब एक इंग्लिश में कहावत है कि ब्रेकफास्ट लाइक अ किंग, लंच लाइक अ प्रिंस एंड डिनर लाइक अ पॉपर और बेगर. ठीक है. तो इसका जो लॉजिक है वही है कि आपको सुबह का खाना जो है, खाना नहीं बोलूंगा, ब्रेकफास्ट, वो आप जितना अच्छे से हेवी कर सकते हो उतना आप करो. ठीक है. एंड जो लंच है वो आप प्रिंस की तरह, ब्रेकफास्ट लाइक किंग. एंड जो रात का खाना है आप एकदम ही कम, या जो लाइट बिल्कुल, और जितना अर्ली अर्ली खा सकते हो आप. जैसे आप जैन लोग ऑब्जर्व करोगे, जैनिज्म में बहुत अच्छी बात है कि वो इवनिंग के बिफोर खाना खा लेते हैं रात का. ठीक है. तो इसके पीछे सिंपल लॉजिक है कि मॉर्निंग में हमारा जो भी फिजिकल एक्टिविटी है वो ज़्यादा रहता है. आप चाहे कोई भी प्रोफेशन में हो, आपका मेंटल एंड फिजिकल एक्टिविटी मॉर्निंग में सबसे ज़्यादा रहता है. तो ब्रेकफास्ट अगर आप हेवी लोगे तो जो भी एनर्जी है वो यूटिलाइज होगी, वो स्टोर नहीं होगी, एंड दैट विल नॉट बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू फैट्स, बिकॉज आप कार्बोहाइड्रेट खाओगे या आपके प्रोटीन्स, जो भी कंपोजिशन है, दैट विल बी यूटिलाइज्ड. ठीक है. एंड लंच के बाद भी मतलब हम कुछ ना कुछ तो काम करते हैं, दिन में हम सोते बहुत ही मतलब रेयरली आजकल. और जो रात का खाना है उसका इसलिए है कि आप बहुत ही लाइट और जल्दी खाओ, क्योंकि रात को हम एक्टिविटी बिल्कुल निग्लिजिबल रहती है हमारी. रात को खाने के बाद जनरली हम, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल लाइक, टीवी भी देखेंगे, बहुत हो गए तो थोड़ा सा वॉक करेंगे और सो जाएंगे. तो दैट इज द लॉजिक बिहाइंड दैट. ठीक है. तो बहुत लोग मैंने देखा है कि ब्रेकफास्ट स्किप करना, या फिर लंच नहीं करना, या फिर रात का खाना हेवी खाना, ये थोड़ा सा मेरे हिसाब से ये थोड़ा सा उल्टा है. ठीक है. दिस इज द थिंग नंबर वन. एंड सेकंड थिंग इज कीटो डाइट. और जो ये जो है ये ना, जो जैसे रूटीन मेडिसिन से अगर पेशेंट ठीक नहीं होता है, अगर ओरल मेडिसिन देके, एंटीबायोटिक्स देके अगर कोई पेशेंट ठीक नहीं होता है, देन ये आईसीयू का ट्रीटमेंट है. मतलब आप उसको एडमिट करने के बाद जो इंजेक्टेबल सलाइन वगैरह देते हो, तो दिस इज लाइक, जब ओवरवेट हो गया है, या फिर आपको बहुत ही अर्जेंसी है वेट लॉस करने की ड्यू टू एनी मेडिकल कंडीशन, ओबेसिटी और वॉट एवर. ठीक है. सो ये तब चीजें यूज होती है. अदरवाइज आप नॉर्मली एकदम कीटो डाइट पे जाओगे तो आप पक्का है चक्कर आके गिर जाओगे. मेरे को काफी सारे फ्रेंड्स ने किया है, उनको आईवी फ्लूइड लगाना पड़ा. ठीक है. और आइडियल वे टू रिड्यूस द वेट, जैसे डॉक्टर श्रीनिवास सर ने भी कहा है कि अ, एक मतलब उसका फॉर्मूला है कि आपने आधा किलो पर मंथ, या फिर एक 10-15 दिन में आधा किलो के ऊपर, मतलब एकदम आपका वेट कम भी नहीं होना चाहिए। तो इट शुड बी अ ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस, इट शुड नॉट बी अ ड्रास्टिक चेंज, क्योंकि वो आपको हार्म करेगा। ठीक है। और आपको बॉडी को सुनना है, मतलब आपकी बॉडी ही बता देती है कि आपको कब क्या खाना है, कब आपको क्रेविंग होती है। ठीक है। तो थोड़ा बहुत आपको बॉडी का भी सुनना है। और 2 or 3 meals a day is an ideal diet for a general body, जनरल मतलब अब मैक्सिमम पॉपुलेशन के लिए। बट वी कैन नॉट जनरलाइज द थिंग्स, बिकॉज जैसे आप अपने ट्रेडर कम्युनिटी में देखिए, हर एक आदमी इंट्राडे नहीं करता, हर एक आदमी स्विंग ट्रेड नहीं करता या ये नहीं करता। तो वही इसमें भी अप्लाई होता है। तो हर एक का जैसा नेचर है, उसका जो बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर है, उसका वेट है, उसका मेटाबॉलिज्म है, और उसको जेनेटिक्स है, उसको एग्जिस्टिंग कोई इलनेस है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली हमें उसका डाइट प्लान करना पड़ता है। तो जरूरी नहीं है कि हर एक को एक पर्टिकुलर या फिक्स डाइट मतलब सूट होगा। सो दीज आर द फ्यू थिंग्स। एंड पर्सनली मैं जो फॉलो करता हूँ, तो मैं ब्रेकफास्ट जिसमें पर्टिकुलरली हाई प्रोटीन डाइट, ये थोड़ा हेवी करता हूँ। देन मेरा लंच उससे थोड़ा लाइट रहता है, और डिनर बहुत ही लाइट रहता है। तो इससे मुझे काफ़ी फायदा हुआ, वेट लॉस भी हुआ, अभी मेंटेन है। और उस पे थोड़ी जगह अगर हम बेसिक चीज़ें चेंज करें, जैसे हम अब मैक्सिमम लोग हम रोटी खाते हैं, उसमें हम जो गेहूं की रोटी है उसके जगह हम जवार की रोटी अगर आप ऐड कर दो, किसी को वेट लॉस करना है, इट इज़ अ वेरी गुड, मतलब ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स उसका काफ़ी लो है, तो डाइजेशन के लिए भी अच्छा रहता है, वेट लॉस के लिए भी अच्छा रहता है। और ग्रीन सलाद आप ऐड कर दो, आप खाने के साथ, जैसे आपने बोला कि टोमेटोज या फिर कुकुम्बर है, जो भी आप पसंद करते हो, आप खाने के पहले या खाने के साथ खाओ। सो दैट जो हाई कैलोरी या मतलब फैट और कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स है, वो अपने आप थोड़ा रिड्यूस हो जाएगा, शुगर कंटेंट रिड्यूस हो जाएगा, और ये फाइबर वगैरह आपको ऐड हो जाएंगे। एंड इंडियन डाइट कार्बोहाइड्रेट ही ज़्यादा रहता है हमारे डाइट में, प्रोटीन्स या ये बाकी चीज़ें बहुत कम रहती है। तो हमको थोड़ा प्रोटीन बढ़ाना चाहिए, फाइबर्स बढ़ाना चाहिए, और जो शुगर कार्बोहाइड्रेट एंड फैट्स है, वो थोड़ा हमें कम करना चाहिए खाने में। और साल्ट भी, खास करके जो भी हाइपरटेंशन है, तो उनमें मतलब वही है कि साल्ट, ऑयल एंड कार्बोहाइड्रेट के कारण थोड़ा सा इशू होता है। तो ये 2-3 चीजें जो है मतलब बेसिक लेवल पे, बस उतना ही मुझे बताना है। बाकी तो एक्सपर्ट डाइटिशियन मैं नहीं हूँ, तो हो सकता है इस पे आप काफी सारे लोग डिफर भी करोगे, बट दिस इज व्हाट आई एम फॉलोइंग पर्सनली।
Yeah, like thanks a lot for your input. Chirag, I'll come to you just 2 minutes and then I'll come to you. You've raised your hand. Sir, the thing is, it's like very modest of you to say that you're not an expert, being a doctor and that to a pediatrician and all. Like,
हाँ,
it's
बिकॉज आनंद जी क्या है कि बच्चे का डाइट आप पूछोगे तो मैं बता दूंगा आपको कि 8 महीने में क्या देना है और वीनिंग कैसे स्टार्ट करना है।
yeah.
बट एडल्ट का डाइट है ना, तो हाँ।
या आप लोगों के सामने अगर हम कुछ भी बोलते हैं तो बहुत शर्म भी आती है कि हम ऐसा बोल रहे हैं कर रहे हैं as I said, I think before you joined, I said that most important thing in my discovery has been knowing myself. As I
यस,
said, like bulla ki shana main kaun. So my dad has diabetes for like 40 years, and since I was a kid and I was a big eater, if someone tells me eat less, so probably I'll eat his head. I get so angry. As a kid, I used to get so angry. I used to finish one full butter chicken all my own. So I was a big eater since childhood. That's point number one. Point number two, because my dad and in the entire family was diabetic from a very
Yes, Anand,
Ajutosh?
you are back.
Yeah.
हेलो।
Yes,
So
yes, you are.
I was a big eater. That was one thing unique about me. And second thing was because my dad and the entire family genetically was like diabetes from a very young age. So whenever I used to have heavy breakfast, my insulin used to spike like anything, and I was hungry immediately after 2 hours. Then I was hungry throughout the day. That was the problem I encountered whenever I tried to have a heavy breakfast. That's one. Second is I have tried skipping. A lot of people say don't eat anything after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So I have tried it for good more than 6 months. That was also like more than a decade back, and I had weight loss because of that. Why it was not sustainable for me? Because it was interfering with my sleep. I mean, if I don't eat after 7 o'clock, or if I eat very light dinner, I used to get hungry at 2 o'clock, and I used to get up from the bed because I was so hungry at 2 a.m. in the night. So, and for me, if it is like disturbed sleep or lack of sleep, then I'm up from 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock thinking about only food. So that used to mess up my next day, and the next day I used to go on binge eating, and then the regret, then the pain, then not forgiving yourself for overeating and so on. So my thing was, although you're saying is perfectly all right and it is 100% correct, that breakfast like a king and eat dinner like a a poor person, but it used to mess up my sleep, and I was like
इसमें हाँ,
less
ये
likely to.
मेरे साथ भी हुआ था. या प्लीज कंप्लीट.
No, no, no. So I'm saying it was most difficult to follow for a many years or in the long run. Still, I followed for 6 months. I had good results, but then I couldn't continue.
या सो आई हैव सिंपल सॉल्यूशन फॉर दैट. ये मैंने भी इशू फेस किया था जब भी स्टार्ट किया. सो मैं क्या करता था कि एक आप फ्रूट्स मिक्स करके आप छोटे से बॉक्स में, मतलब मैं जब क्लिनिक जाता हूँ तो मैं साथ में लेके जाता था. नहीं है ना फ्रूट अवेलेबल, तो आप सिंपल टोमेटो लेके जाओ, आप कुकम्बर लेके जाओ, आप गाजर लेके जाओ. ठीक है. जब आपको ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे भूख लग रही है, पसीना आ रहा है, मतलब जब भी आपको हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया होता है, उसका हम मेडिकल लैंग्वेज में हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया बोलते हैं. अगर ऐसे सिम्टम्स आपको आते हैं, स्वेटिंग हो रहा है, आपको घबराहट हो रही है, तो आप वो भी खा सकते हो. या सिंपल एक एक चॉकलेट, सिंपल छोटा सा एक चॉकलेट खा लो. शुरुआत में कुछ दिन आपको तकलीफ होगी, बट वंस यू गेट हैबिचुअल टू दिस, आपको आदत गिर गई, उसके बाद में तकलीफ नहीं होगी. दूसरा इशू आया रात का. तो रात का ही बहुत लोगों का प्रॉब्लम है कि नींद नहीं आएगी या जो भी आपको ये नहीं लगेगा. तो उसको फुलनेस आपको लगना चाहिए, उसके लिए आप एक गिलास मिल्क ले सकते हो, लो फैट मिल्क. ठीक है. या फिर आप कोई भी शेक, जैसे मतलब मैंने पर्सनली कुछ हर्बल प्रोडक्ट्स आते हैं, तो वो शेक कुछ दिन ट्राई किया था. बिकॉज सडनली खाना बंद करना रात का या कम खाना एकदम पॉसिबल नहीं था मुझे भी. तो मतलब शुरुआत में फिर एक चपाती खाता था और शेक पीता था. तो ऐसा करके धीरे धीरे फिर वो हुआ. और बीच में अगर आपको कभी भी ऐसा लगता है कि मुझे क्रेविंग हो रही है, भूख लग रही है, देर आर सो मेनी फूड आइटम्स यू कैन ईट एट एनी टाइम. फ्रूट्स हो गया, कुछ जैसे मैंने बताया आपको वेजिटेबल्स टाइप कुछ हो गया, या फिर कुछ नट्स है, आप वो खा सकते हो थोड़ा बहुत. बट इट विल मतलब सेटिस्फाई योर हंगर, एंड इट विल कीप यू अवे फ्रॉम लाइक यू सेड बिंज ईटिंग और जंक फूड वगैरह जो है, वो चीजें भी अवॉइड हो जाती है. सो दैट आर मतलब दीज आर सम सिंपल सॉल्यूशंस फॉर ओवरकमिंग दैट.
Right, sir. Chirag, you want to go on? You had raised your hand.
Yeah, I'm just listening to this space, and no one is mentioning about the daily calorie intake or protein intake. So even if you are following one meal a day or any sort of diet, you must focus on the overall calorie count. अगर आप दिन में एक टाइम ही खाना खा रहे हो 1 घंटे की विंडो में, and if you are exceeding your calorie limit, maybe you are eating 2200 or 2400 calories, then it makes no sense. Same
I
goes
would.
with the intermittent fasting, and same goes with any sort of diet. There is no role of carbs and fats here. Carbs and fats you can choose as per your liking. Fat should be around 30 to 40% in your diet for your better hormonal function. And replacing wheat with jowar and all, it's up to you, because they all are same, provide the same calories. 100 grams give you something around 30, 340 350 calories.
No, it's not about calorie. It's about digestion and glycemic index. Now
No,
it is more
glycemic index.
important.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it is
no.
more
Glycemic
important.
index, carbohydrate, insulin model, and glycemic index doesn't make sense if your everyday calorie intake is equated.
No, no, it's not about the calories only. And what you said is exactly right, because we should talk about the calorie intake and protein intake and all that. For that, you have to calculate your own calorie intake by your physical activity, your weight and height. BMI,
Yeah,
तो जो बॉडी बॉडी मास इंडेक्स रहता है ना, उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपका कैलोरी इंटेक हर एक का अलग आएगा. अगर आपका फिजिकल एक्टिविटी ज्यादा है तो आपको हो सकता है 2000 कैलोरी भी लगे. अगर आपका फिजिकल एक्टिविटी कम है और आपका हाइट और जो वेट उसका जो रेशो है वो अगर ज्यादा है, तो आपको हो सकता है 1000-1200 कैलोरी लगे. तो फॉर दैट
हजार
आपको
बारह सौ
पहले
कैलोरी पे कौन सस्टेन कर सकता है?
सस्टेन कर सकता है की बात नहीं है, आपको सस्टेन करना पड़ता है इफ यू आर इन अ मॉर्बिड कंडीशन ऑफ ओबेसिटी. ओके. सो
1,000-1,200 अब मॉर्बिट, अगर मैंने 100 kg के इंसान को 1,000-1,200 कैलोरीज पे डाल दिया.
सो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग ना, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, इट इज नॉट अ ड्रास्टिक. ये आपको ग्रेजुअली करना पड़ता है. हाँ, मतलब जैसे बताया कि 0.5 kg, आधा किलो आपको 10-15 दिन में, ये टारगेट रहता है. आपको 100 किलो से डायरेक्टली आपको 50 किलो नहीं आना है. एंड सेकंड थिंग, उसके लिए एक सिंपल सोल्यूशन जो मैंने यूज किया था, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ सबको। एक ऐप आता है, बहुत सारे ऐप आते होंगे, मतलब मैंने जो यूज किया था वो बता रहा हूँ, हेल्दीफाई करके एक ऐप आता है, तो मैंने उसका फ्री वर्जन ही यूज किया था। उसमें सिंपल है, आप उसका बीएमआई कैलकुलेट कीजिए अपना, और आपको जो टारगेट वेट है वो भी आप उसमें डाल सकते हो, एग्जिस्टिंग वेट हाइट उसमें डाल सकते हो। देन आपको एक मोटा मोटा आइडिया दे देगा कि आपको कितना कैलोरी खाना है, कितना प्रोटीन, कितना कार्बोहाइड्रेट, एंड जो आप दिन भर में फिर फूड ले रहे हो उसका आप उसमें इनपुट करो। कि जैसे आपने फॉर एग्जांपल ब्रेकफास्ट में अगर कुछ खाया, उपमा खाया, पोहा खाया, चना खाया, जो भी खाया, तो आप उसमें डाल दो। आपको उसका एक काउंटर जो है वो स्टार्ट हो जाता है कि आपने अभी इतनी कैलोरीज ली है, इतना प्रोटीन लिया है, इतना फाइबर लिया है, ठीक है। तो उसके हर फूड आप उसमें जब फीड करोगे तो आपको दिखेगा कि हाँ, मेरा आज का दिन का कैलोरी काउंट पूरा हो गया। अभी प्रोटीन काउंट डिफिशियंट है, तो प्रोटीन के लिए फिर आप क्या कर सकते हो, आप एग वाइट खा सकते हो, जिसमें आपको कैलोरी नहीं मिलेगा ज्यादा, बट प्रोटीन ज्यादा मिलेगा। या बहुत सारे सब्सिट्यूट, अगर कोई वेगान है तो दे कैन गो फॉर सम सोयाबीन, या जो भी उसकी प्रिपरेशन आती है बहुत सारी। तो दीज आर सम सॉल्यूशंस, ठीक है। तो ये एक ऐप है जो मैंने यूज किया था, और उसमें आपको ब्रॉडली एक आइडिया लगता है कि आपको कैलोरी कितनी कंज्यूम करना है, प्रोटीन कितना लेना है, और मतलब ये
तो सर
फाइबर्स कितना।
मैंने भी तो यही बोला ना, क्या स्टार्ट उससे ही तो करा कि सबका एक कैलोरी काउंट होता है और सबको प्रोटीन
हाँ
और
हाँ।
वो लेना।
अच्छा, I have a little different view on calorie count. Okay.
हाँ हाँ बताइए।
नहीं, सबका
Uh,
कैलोरी काउंट होता है, वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ। बट जैसे आपने कहा कि कैलोरी की बात नहीं कर रहा, तो कैलोरी इज डिफरेंट फॉर एवरीवन, इट इज नॉट जनरल, मतलब हम जनरलाइज नहीं कर सकते कि इतना फिक्स कैलोरी लेना पड़ेगा, दैट इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग।
right, sir. Right, sir. Obviously, height or muscle weight, kitna, if he's a bodybuilder, six
एग्जैक्टली
feet,
एग्जैक्टली।
obviously he'll require more calories than a 5 feet guy who's extremely thin. I get it, right? So I have a very different and radical take on calorie count, and a lot of people are going to hate me for that. But I just wanted to say it respectfully to all of you. See, counting calorie is one thing, and then not being able to follow the discipline of calorie count is entirely different thing. Okay, what happens is that when you are having 6 meals or 8 meals a day, and when you are conscious of the calorie, obviously you every like broadly speaking, you are eating a little less, probably 10% less than the hunger, right? That's one thing. And if you are predisposed to insulin spikes immediately after having a carb rich meal, then sticking to the calorie in the next meal is extremely difficult, at least for a person like me. I get it. If you are a deficit by 300 calories or 400 calories or even 100 calories a day for a year or two, you'll lose weight. That theory I'm not disputing. I'm disputing the discipline part. I've seen a lot of people falling off the discipline when they are on a carb rich diet and they're counting the
No,
calories. That's
Anand,
point number one.
but
Let me
data
complete, please.
doesn't data doesn't tell that to us. जो भी
क्या
रिकॉर्डेड
कि
डेटा है
डिसिप्लिन फॉलो
शोज,
होगा कि नहीं होगा?
नहीं, जो भी रिकॉर्डेड डेटा है अपने पास ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, उसमें यही बताता है कि इट्स ऑल अबाउट द कैलोरीज, नॉट अबाउट द कि कोई कितने मील्स ले रहा है
Am I
दिन भर
saying
में।
a different thing? I'm saying na, that if you are 100 calories deficit per day, you will lose weight. So that I'm agreeing to that data,
No, no,
but you will not be able to.
what you are saying, it's a personal experience and it's a personal sort of problem if you are not able to control your food. It's nothing to.
Yeah. Exactly. I never said it's a universal problem. Now let me complete. Okay. So because I was in the beginning, I told everyone that I am more predisposed to insulin spikes immediately after a carb-rich meal. So counting calorie and trying to stick to the calorie deficit is extremely hard for me. I have tried it 3, 4 times in my life, and after every 4 months or 6 months, I go back to overeating. When I tried intermittent fasting, and especially when I'm trying one meal a day, what happens is that uh, I read about it many times that you should not be eating too lesser calories. So the aim is to eat 2000 calories in, and that to good calories in an hour. And those who have tried it, believe me, it's extremely difficult when you are eating. And I'm not talking about eating a chocolate or eating a pizza. When you're eating berries, you're eating kaju. When you're eating butter chicken, or when you're eating roasted chicken, and when you're eating, you know, potatoes, it's extremely difficult to reach 2000 calories. How much chicken you can eat? You'll be full much before that. So, the control on hunger and the ability to follow that discipline, in my humble opinion, is more when you are on a low carb diet and when you have restricted your eating window. That's what I'm saying. I'm not refuting data that if you're on calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. You will definitely lose weight, but that discipline is probably more difficult, in my humble opinion. Yeah, go on. Yeah, my am I audible? My acha, goat, you have Dr. Priyanka, you want to add something? My goat, please. Acha, you are connecting. Uh, am I audible, guys?
Yes, yes, Anand bhai, you are audible.
Yeah. So, Dr. Priyanka, you want to say something? You are a speaker, or Chirag, you want to
Uh,
continue?
I'm not a
Yeah.
doctor. I'm a certified nutrition. So I just want to add a little few things here. I can understand that yes, this is a behavioral thing. Like when you are sticking to one meal diet, you already know that when you go for 3 meal diet, then you're not able to count your calories or stick to your calories that you're not able to consume. But you have also answered your questions that when you are consuming high protein diet, then you also get satiated very fast. Then you're not able to eat. So if you can do the same thing in 3 meals, then you can achieve the same weight loss in 3 meal diet. My point is how sustainable it is. The like Chirag said, it's all about you need to know how many calories you should be consuming every day in order to lose weight every week. And also the thing is, one factor that you have not considered is that everybody's physical activity and physical lifestyle is very very different. Like our Dr. Om Prakash had given a very simple thing about eating breakfast like a king and having the least amount of calories in the dinner. This doesn't work for someone who is running marathon in the morning. He will probably fall down. So the timing of the calorie intake also plays a very very major role for different people, right? Because you cannot just say that just because you are an office going person, you will do the most amount of activities in the morning only. Some people do most amount of activities in the evening. Some people work the whole night. So here again, like we cannot generalize the whole thing. But yes, for calorie counting, it's very very important to stay within the deficit through the day. you know Whether you're doing it with, if you're doing just one meal a day, and you also plan to join some exercising activities to increase your muscle mass, you won't be able to do anything if you are consuming some are 1500 calories in the morning or afternoon, and you plan to go to the gym at 8 o'clock in the evening. I'm giving a scenario. I'm giving a hypothetical scenario. You will probably, by the time that you start working out, you will have no energy left. So it will also affect your activities, and it will also affect your metabolism. And the third thing is something that people do not consider is metabolic adaptation when you are consuming very low amount of calories every day. Like Chirag said, it's not easy to sustain 1200 to 1300 calories every day. One. And secondly, if you are consuming very little calories like 1200 to 1300 calories for a long period of time, your metabolism also goes down to adapt that kind of intake. So this is all that I wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm aiming to eat around 1800 to 2000 calories, not 1200. That's one. And second thing is, I don't know about the medical basis of it, or maybe because of the absence of insulin spikes. I don't feel hungry at all till 7 p.m. Not even 1%. Food is there in front of me. I cook for my children. I don't feel hungry, and I'm doing intense. I mean, in winter time, I'm sweating. Intense physical activity for 2 hours from 6 in the evening to 8. 6 to 8 I'm doing, and I don't feel lack of energy at all. And I've not eaten anything since morning till 6 to 8. If I give you details, like I'm doing 25 3 sets free body squats, 25 3 sets push-ups, and I'm doing 15 Surya Namaskar and things like that for 2 hours. And I don't feel any lack of energy. Initially, 3 4 days I felt, but not later on. So that's my experience. Maybe it is just anecdotal, and but it should definitely make others curious that there is absolutely no lack of energy at all when I do walking for more than an hour, sometimes I went for walk when weather was very nice. I went for a walk in the afternoon from 2 to 3:30, and when I'm walking for more than an hour, and that too on a slightly hilly terrain, then I felt a little bit of weakness. That was the only time I felt when I walked for more than 1 hour. Otherwise, for these push-ups and squats, I don't feel any weakness at all. And I'm aiming to eat like 1800 to 2000 calories. It's just that I don't need to count because it at itself I feel so full eating chicken and eating pasta or whatever that oh those are तो होता ही नहीं है एक meal में, especially if you are trying to aim for good calories. Yeah, Nikhil, you want to add something? Am I
Oh, hi,
audible?
hi. Yes,
Yeah, go
I
on.
didn't notice that you made me a speaker. Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
Nikhil is the
just
Nikhil. By the way, Nikhil is the guy who introduced me to 1 meal a day. I was talking about intermittent fasting, which I used to do, like eating my first meal at 4 o'clock and then continuing till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. That's what I'm doing for like 5, 6 years. And the aim was not weight loss. I was on a constant weight loss before Corona hit me, and but I was talking, then Nikhil said, "Why don't you do 1 meal a day?" Or maybe he said that Jack Dorsey, who was founder of Twitter, he does 1 meal a day. Then the Lex Friedman, who is like famous podcast host, and the guy who recently invited Elon Musk, he does 1 meal a day. So I said, if I start doing 1 meal a day, it will be like a lot of inconvenience removed from life. And yeah, one more thing which Lex said, and a lot of his speakers also, admitted, and what I am seeing right now is that a day looks pretty longer than what it is. It feels like a 48-hour a day, and I'm able to put in a lot more energy than I was able to put in everything else, including spaces that I conduct. I do like 3 hour, 4 hour spaces without any break because I don't have to take a lunch break. And the thing is, I stopped like fourth day or fifth day, I stopped thinking about food at all. At 7 o'clock, there is some trigger, I guess. Start feeling hungry, and at 8 o'clock, I eat. Yeah, Nakil, go on. You were the inspiration.
no, no. You yourself do it. I am not doing 1 meal myself, so I can't say that. Yeah. So I think a lot of people here would be more knowledgeable about these stuff than me. I'm just a hustler who's just trying different things to figure out what works for me in life. I've been trying to do so being on and off intermittent fasting for past like 7 8 years. Uh, when I first figured it out, it was really amazing. The first experience that you have to intermittent fasting is really mind boggling because all of a sudden you have that sudden rush of energy that you feel like you are 10 years younger once you start and a week or two has passed to that. So intermittent fasting was like 6 to probably 6 and 18. But later I tried, like when I tried to going into 2 and 22. So I am trying to do 222 rather than just 1 meal a day because I'm living with family and it's really difficult for me to explain them that I wanted to have 1 meal. So I rather have 2 meals, but like in a gap of 2 hours. So first meal I try at 5 and then I have my second meal at 7. That helps me keep my food like in quantity as well. So that's what I do, and I'm planning to do for next few weeks and months, and then see how it affects me. uh what I was gonna say is, it's not for everyone. So I can't just prescribe, okay, like this is one of the most wonderful that I have things I have come across and not, because there's a lot of medical stuff attached to it. So it would not help a lot of people who are in different shoes than what I am. And so some people might be diabetic, some people might be some metabolism would need more food to inherit lesser calories, all those stuff. So it would not work for everybody. For someone like me, it's just a challenge. It's just me challenging myself to reach some to find figure out something would probably work for me or not. If it works for me, I would probably continue doing it for years. If it not, then I would probably move back to intermittent fasting. So like if whenever you think about such stuff, take it as a challenge and just look if it works for you or not. Just don't go by the faith of, okay, if it is working for Anand or if it is working for Nikhil, I'm gonna do it as well. Just do it for a day or two or three, figure it out if it is working for you, and then just continue.
Yeah, definitely that word of caution has to be there that, all my tweets and spaces are for entertainment value, and this is not a medical advice. I'm not a doctor at all. And you should consult your family physician or personal physician. I mean, this is the standard disclaimer, as if everybody in India has a family physician. But and as if family physician is going to give time, हाँ अच्छा बेटा आ जाओ अभी तुम्हें बताता हूँ कौन सा डाइट करना है. But moving on, what I am saying is there are specific challenges to intermittent fasting. One very big challenge which I see people facing is that when you're doing intermittent fasting, there is a serious danger of you falling short on some key vitamin or some key mineral. So doing a periodic blood test is a must. If you can't afford to do that for whatever reason, I go for a blood test every 3 months. The entire lipid profile, the entire HbA1c, the entire thyroid profile, everything. Because when you are going on a intermittent fasting, not eating for a long period of time, I think these blood markers are very, very important. And twice, as I said, for last 6 months, I'm doing serious intermittent fasting. Twice it has happened, and as I'm brutally honest about everything else, so I'll tell you, twice it has happened that I was deficient in vitamin D and vitamin B12. And vitamin B12, you have to go for injections. So I went for 12 injections, very painful injections in the ass. So yeah, so I mean, you cannot just blindly go because Anand is doing, or Anand looks cool. Yeah, definitely I
But
do look good.
Anandji, sorry to interrupt, but what is the fault of intermittent fasting here about your deficiencies? I'm not understanding that part.
No, I'm not saying that it happened because of intermittent fasting. What I'm saying is the underlying fact is that you should go for blood test if you're doing anything out of the routine. And I went for that, and then I found out that I was deficient in these two.
Okay, okay, understood.
I'm not saying there is a direct correlation, or I've studied that. I'm not saying that. And so what I'm saying, if you want to follow intermittent fasting, or if you want to follow one meal a day, then I think every 6 months a blood work, or every 3 months a blood work is a must. And get it checked by a physician if you're lacking in any of the blood tests. That is one. And knowing your body, as I said in the very beginning, bulla ke shana mein kaun, you should know who you are. I am very prone to being a big eater. I'm very prone to having insulin spikes. So that was a major problem I was trying to solve, and which, I mean, it's just been 1 month of one meal a day, and the big relief is I don't feel hungry. Yeah, Chirag, you wanted to add something?
No, no, I'm waiting for this. Oh my God, to speak.
Yeah. Oh my
हेलो
God, just
यस
comes and go, doesn't speak.
हाँ
Yeah.
सर वो कनेक्शन थोड़ा सा थैंक्स थैंक यू फॉर एक्सेप्टिंग माय माइक रिक्वेस्ट एम आई ऑडिबल हेलो
Yeah, go on, go on. You're very audible.
okay so all these diet things and everything so I just wanted to actually I have experienced some basically I have met on Twitter or social media two people and I follow them very like religiously. The Chirag here, Chirag is doing some amazing work. And the first guy I met was Mr. JC, like Jiten Choksi. He's now the business had grown. His nutrition and every business has
ब्रो,
grown.
आप कहाँ फॉलो करते हो मुझे? मेरे को तो नहीं दिख रहा प्रोफाइल पे.
I don't follow you because of some reason right now, but
अच्छा अच्छा.
I
ओके ओके
got what you are doing actually.
ओके
I'll
ओके
tell you
गॉट.
in DM. There was some incident, right? So, but I appreciate that whatever you are doing, right? So the thing is, कि, in 2015-16, I was in like one of the close member in that group, जो जितेन चौकसी वाला group है. और उसमें मैं मतलब he used to tell me all of the people he started from Facebook. उसका group है बहुत अच्छा and basically what they started following is कि keto diet, right? एंड कीटो के अंडर में वट मतलब मैं आपको मेथोडोलॉजी बता रहा हूँ जो उसने ब्रीफ किया था वो ये था कि जो भी आपका डेली कैलोरी इनटेक रिक्वायरमेंट है सपोज 1900 कैलोरी यू नीड so you have to start from 1600 right and gradually you have to increase and along with the weight training and everything right तो उसका एक regime है काम करने का and that worked out very well and that is why the business he has scaled on such a large level he has some funding and you might find everywhere right so उसने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है the second बंदा I am seeing right now is चिराग on the Twitter who is actually doing very good work, and I must really appreciate. So, what I was trying to say, I lost 14 kg by doing some keto thing, right? In 2016. So what I used to do, जब आप कीटो स्टार्ट करते हो, तो जो न्यूट्रिशन आपका आ रहा है, वो सोर्स क्या है, उसके ऊपर बहुत सारी चीजें डिपेंड करती है. तो इट वाज लाइक 60% ऑफ द फैट्स, 30% of the protein, and only 10% of the carb, right? This was the macro over there. And then you need multivitamin and lots of water, like 5-6 liters of water. So it worked out very well. But initial 4-5 days, you will feel like having something. आपको फ्लू भी आ सकता है, आपको स्किन में कुछ मतलब हो भी सकता है, उसके भी साइड इफेक्ट्स होते हैं. देर आर द these things are there, but these worked out very well. Or for a shorter period of time, 3-4 months, if you lost some 10 kg or 15 kg, then you may switch, because there is a time जहाँ पे ऐसा टाइम आता है जहाँ पे आप वर्कआउट कर रहे हो बट आपका वेट रिड्यूस नहीं हो रहा है. तो वहां पे क्या होता है, वो प्लेटू हिट होता है, एंड देन यू हैव टू चेंज योर डाइट अगेन. इफ चिराग कैन ऐड ऑन दिस थिंग, तो वहां पे आपको फिर से काम करना पड़ता है. सम मॉडिफिकेशन में बी यू मे शिफ्ट टू लो कार्ब डाइट और लोडिंग कार्ब लोडिंग और समथिंग. उसके बाद से फिर आप जो है उस डाइट को मॉडिफाई करके एंड फर्दर यू एज योर रिक्वायरमेंट, मतलब आपका गोल क्या है. आपका गोल नॉर्मल हेल्दी रहना है, या आपका गोल ये है कि आपको आपका जो मसल मास है वो इंक्रीज करना है, या बॉडी फैट बिल्कुल 10% से नीचे ले जाना है. सो देर आर डिफरेंट डिफरेंट मॉडिफिकेशन दैट यू कैन डू. बट ऑनेस्टली आई व्हाट आई सी हियर इज कि मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल, मतलब ज्यादा बहुत सारे लोगों को कुछ पता नहीं है. इट इज जो मैं देखता हूँ, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल कमेंट कि सोशल मीडिया पर, अगर जैसे आपने आज पिक्चर पोस्ट करी, तो मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल विल टॉक, बिकॉज हमारी सोसाइटी में डाइट ये एक्सेप्टेड है ही नहीं है. हमें डेली वही कार्ब लोडेड डाइट ही करनी है, और उसके अलावा प्रोटीन पे हम शिफ्ट नहीं हो सकते. दूसरी चीजों को अगर हम खाएंगे तो लोग अप्रिशिएट नहीं करेंगे. वेरी फ्यू एक्चुअली अंडरस्टैंड दिस. सो या दिस इज देयर. बट ऑन माई एक्सपीरियंस आई वुड से कि लेट्स गो विद द प्रोटीन हैवी डाइट. मैं भी यही कोशिश करता हूँ, बिकॉज वो लाइफ स्टाइल चेंजेस हैं जो मैं इसी से एग्री करूंगा कि ये वेट लॉस एंड ऑल दिस फिटनेस regime is directly related to the discipline part is very hard actually. So you have to do some lifestyle modification, और मतलब उस पे स्टिक रहना ही एक वो है की है जिससे आप हेल्दी लाइफ आगे बढ़ा सकते हो. थैंक यू, बस यही बोलना था मेरे को.
I tried keto, couple of times, like strict keto. पहला तो जो चीज मुझे बहुत डिफिकल्ट हुआ, वन ऑफ माय क्लोज फ्रेंड वाज आल्सो डूइंग वाज कीटो. उसमें कि एक एक चीज में देखना पड़ता है कि कार्ब कितना है. यू रियली, तो वो लहसुन में भी वो देखता था कि ये कितना कार्ब है. सो दैट आई फाउंड वेरी इरिटेटिंग. दैट इज वन, कि
सर
हर चीज में
उसमें क्या है
कार्ब
ना,
देखते रहना.
सर
हम्म.
सॉरी टू डिस्टर्ब, बस उसमें क्या है कि वंस यू हैव डिजाइन योर डाइट, राइट? तो सपोज
हम्म.
आपका 1600 कैलोरी इनटेक है, एंड आपने डाइट अपना
हम्म.
डिजाइन कर लिया, देन यू डोंट हैव टू लुक
हाँ.
टू दैट ग्राम्स एंड एवरीथिंग ना. आपको पता
तो
है कि मैं दिन
हाँ.
में, जैसे
हाँ.
मैं सुबह पनीर खाता था, राइट? दिन में मैं सैलेड और
हम्म.
वो खाता था, तो वो डिसाइडेड हो गया. एक इनिशियली आपको 10 days का हिकअप होगा, बट वंस यू आर थ्रू द डाइट ना, देन इट इज सॉर्टेड, देन यू डोंट हैव टू लुक एवरी नाउ एंड
हाँ,
देन,
तो
राइट?
पहला तो ये, जैसे अभी जैसे 1 meal a day करता हूँ, तो द फ्रीडम टू ईट एनीथिंग, दैट इज अलॉट फॉर मी. कि वो, और दूसरा चीज, कीटो में आप फ्रूट्स नहीं खा सकते हो. और मुझे लगता है कि हैविंग फ्रूट्स लाइक बनाना फॉर पोटेशियम, और फ्रूट्स लाइक स्ट्रॉबेरी, और फ्रूट्स लाइक इवन एप्पल, आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू कंप्लीट द ओवरऑल मैक्रो. जो आप कीटो में तो फ्रूट बिल्कुल नहीं खा सकते. आई डोंट नो हाउ टू सब्स्टिट्यूट दैट.
यस सर, यू राइट. मोस्ट ऑफ द लाइक जो ये फ्रूट्स होते हैं जिसमें शुगर या आप कंटेंट होता है, ग्लूकोज कंटेंट, वो
हाँ,
नहीं ले सकते आप,
अब आप बनाना
बेसिकली
नहीं खा
याद है.
सकते हो, आप
हाँ.
एप्पल नहीं खा सकते हो कीटो में. आप स्ट्रॉबेरी नहीं खा सकते हो. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट लाइक अ कप फुल ऑफ स्ट्रॉबेरी. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा हिंड्रेंस मुझे लगा, कि अगर मैं सालों साल करूंगा तो फ्रूट्स को टोटली एलिमिनेट कर देना मुझे हेल्दी नहीं लगा. मतलब मुझे,
सर
आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग माय एक्सपीरियंस.
बट
और
यहाँ
तीसरा
पे
जो मुझे
एक,
लगा ना,
हाँ.
कि कीटो में जैसे कैसे भी होता था, कि जब भी हम ट्रैवल करते थे ना, किसी शादी में जा रहे हैं या कहीं पे भी जा रहे हैं, तो इट इज वेरी एंटी सोशल डाइट. अभी सब लोग को पता है कि साला ये तो एक अलग ही खाएगा, ये पिज्जा नहीं खाएगा, ये तो बटर चिकन और नान नहीं खाएगा. तो मुझे लगा कि डाइट कुछ ऐसा भी होना चाहिए कि सोशली आपको बहुत ऑकवर्ड नहीं. कुछ नहीं खाएगा, जैसे if I go right now, go anywhere and if I don't eat anything, people will be still okay. But if I see कि मैं कुछ अतरंगा ही खाऊंगा, मैं ये जो बना बटर चिकन और नान बना ये नहीं खाऊंगा, then people take more offense. I mean, that is my
I
personal
think
opinion.
Chirag
Yeah,
will better answer this question.
yeah, Kira, go on.
या सो आई एम जस्ट गिविंग माय एंडिंग नोट्स. मेरा थोड़ा बेड का टाइम हो गया है. सो देखो डाइट है ना, आई एम टेलिंग दिस फ्रॉम द एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ आफ्टर कोचिंग 3000 पीपल. डाइट आप कोई भी फॉलो करो, एक तो पहली चीज डाइट कभी इजी नहीं होती है, बिकॉज अपना बचपन से स्पेशली इन द इंडियन सीन अपना जो डाइटरी हैबिट्स रहा है ना वो बहुत ही खराब रहा है शुरू से. बचपन में मतलब अपनों को किसी को याद भी नहीं होगा कि अपन ने कब सिस्टमेटिकली प्रोटीन खाया था पूरी डाइट में काउंट करके अच्छे से. तो आप वो चीज़ देखोगे तो दैट इज़ वेरी रेयर इन आर डाइट्स. तो सबसे पहले तो अपनी वो डाइट फिक्स करनी है आपको, तो वो इजी नहीं होगा, चाहे वो कीटो हो, चाहे वो इंटरमीडिएट फास्टिंग हो, या प्रॉपर एक लो कार्ब मॉडरेट कार्ब कैसे भी डाइट हो. उसके अलावा सेकंड चीज ये है जो आनंद जी ने अभी पॉइंट उठाया बहुत अच्छा, कि डाइट का सोशल होना बहुत जरूरी है वेन एवर यू आर गोइंग आउट, बिकॉज आपका सोशल लाइफ चलता ही रहेगा. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि अभी एक डाइट के पीछे लोगों से मिलना जुलना बंद कर दोगे. अगर आपकी मॉम ने कुछ आपके लिए बनाया है तो ऑब्वियसली आपको खाना है वो, ऐसा नहीं होता कि यू कैन से नो टू इट. तो मेक श्योर कि आपका डाइट ये सब चीज़ें कवर करता हो. एंड या दैट्स अबाउट इट. जस्ट हैव फन विद द डाइट, स्लोली स्लोली कीप मेकिंग चेंजेस इन योर डाइट. ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि आप कल से एकदम से चेंज कर दो सारे. धीरे धीरे आप अपना लंच चेंज करो, फिर डिनर चेंज करो, फिर ब्रेकफास्ट चेंज करो, एंड ईट अराउंड योर एक्टिविटीज, सो दैट आप अगर जिम जा रहे हो, रनिंग पे जा रहे हो, जो भी कर रहे हो उसमें आपका फुल आउटपुट आ रहा है प्रॉपर. सो ईट अराउंड दैट एक्टिविटी.
Pankaj, you want to add something?
Oh, hi, Anand. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so see, like thing is that even I have been trying to lose weight from some time, and when lockdown was started, I moved back to my native place, and since we have got we are into full-time farming, like my father looks after now, and I will tell you that since I used to work in field like almost 3-4 hour a day, I reduced from 120 to 102 in 4 months time, you can say, by not living any, like I used to have regular meal, morning breakfast, lunch को एकदम मतलब full खाना, dinner full. But since I was burning more calorie, I was able to lose weight. Once back to Pune, again sedative life, like especially I feel, that if you cut down on alcohol, you can lose weight very fast. I have felt that
पंकज
because
जी
when I
आपने
was at home.
पंकज जी आपने बायो चेंज नहीं करा अपना?
बायो किस चीज का?
आपका बायो चेंज नहीं करा है आपने, एक बार वो भी चेंज कर लीजिए, जल्दी हो जाएगा वेट लॉस उससे.
ओके, लाइक
अरे
He's just
आपको,
joking.
हाँ, आई गॉट इट. लाइक आप मतलब ये ट्विटर का बायो का बात कर रहे हैं ना?
हाँ हाँ.
अच्छा. सो दैट इज व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू, दैट ये सेडेटिव लाइफ जो मेरा है ना, दैट इज द बिगेस्ट डेविल इन माय लाइफ एक्चुअली राइट नाउ. एंड इट इज लाइक से फ्रेंड्स या जो भी हो, लाइक इट इज जस्ट हो ही जाता है. लाइक हाउ मच एवर आई डिसाइड, वो हफ्ते में एक दिन या 2 दिन हो ही जाता है. एंड eating outside is another
Sir,
problem that I have to stop.
shift to dry state then. We have all shifted. मेरा तो reason ही यही था shift करने का.
What? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I am saying then shift to dry states because अगर
तो मैं आई एम फ्रॉम बिहार, माय नेटिव इज बिहार. तो 4 महीने वही हुआ ना, और माय पेरेंट्स आर डेड अगेंस्ट इट. सो उनको पता चला तो मुझे उधर ही काट डालेंगे. तो 4 months आई विल टेल यू ऑनेस्टली, 4 months आई डिड नॉट हैड एनीथिंग, नाइदर फ्रॉम लाइक आउटसाइड फूड भी नहीं, लिकर तो डेफिनेटली नहीं, and that is the reason I told you that in 4 months I lost around 18 kg with proper eating habits, like no cut in nothing, कुछ भी cut down नहीं किया मैंने. Rice, chapati, everything I was eating. And that's the reason after March I'm planning to go home for another 3-4 months. I will go and stay, and this time I won't gain the weight. I'm very sure about it because I'm leaving the job after March. So I have planned few things and I will stick to those plans. But another thing is also that, like what I have felt, that what I have done right now, that I am cutting down my, like, suppose if I am eating 2 chapati, instead of eating it once, I am eating like twice, एक chapati 2 बार, maybe एक या 1.5 घंटे पे ऐसे. That is keeping my weight under control.
I think we lost him again. A couple of more observations I want to tell. I was having arthritis. Again, it's a hereditary thing. I have seen that there is a major relief in my arthritis since the time I started eating less and less frequently. And I used to have edema in the legs for last 2 years since the lockdown started because of my sedentary job where I have to sit for a long period of time. That one meal a day, that edema is completely gone. So the swelling in the leg is completely gone. That these are the two visible good effects I have seen, and which did not plan or I did not know till it happened to me. That body has become more flexible and arthritis is gone. I had arthritis in the fingers, so I don't know whether it is linked or it is placebo effect or what it is. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm no doctor. So arthritis is gone and that edema is gone, and my skin has become I used to have a lot of whiteheads and blackheads, and that is gone. So these are the effects. And Rusty is also with us. Rusty, you want to add something to the discussion?
Sure, sure. So hi everyone. As we were talking about one meal a day, I think it's pretty doable, and I think everyone should try it out once in their life at least. Just make sure you are eating enough protein, and I think, like, once you try it out, you will know the amount of energy you'll have, throughout the whole day. It's pretty commendable. So everyone should try it out. It's pretty safe. Nothing to worry about. I don't see any reason anyone should be worried about. Unless, like, of course, like if you're doing heavy workouts, you need to add some more, another meal maybe. Just adding another meal will do the work. But yeah, everyone should try it out for sure.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast by again Lex, and he had invited a guest who was into heavy workouts, and he said that if you're eating one meal a day, then you eat your meal around the workout. So that's, I mean, I don't do heavy workouts, so I have not
Anand sir,
experienced
I
that.
just wanted to add one more point. Hello.
Go on, go on.
So I just, my wife is Jani basically. So उनकी जो दादी थी ना, she was having one meal a day for I think 35 years, right? और उन्होंने 35 years तक till the last you can say time, right? तो she was on her own, मतलब उनको किसी की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, कोई डेफिसिट नहीं था, कोई मेजर कोई एलिमेंट नहीं थी, राइट? एंड देयर वाज हार्ट अटैक प्रॉब्लम जो उस एज में होता है, राइट? वो एक हेरिडिटियल है, बीपी वगैरह होना, बीपी का एक प्रॉब्लम था. बट शी सर, एक जैसे फैमिली डिस्कशंस होते हैं तो उसमें मेरे को किसी ने बताया उनका ऐसा था. सो following one meal a day diet for 30 to 35 years is pretty tough thing, right? And we are और उनके 4-5 बच्चे थे और उनके सारे काम करना, घर में पूरा टाइम देना, एंड रिगरस, इट इज रिगरस, राइट? हाउस वाइफ काइंड ऑफ थिंग. तो मतलब मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि इट इज देयर इन समवेयर, जो हमारा पास्ट है, जो जो टाइम था उसमें ये चीजें हैं, बट समबडी हैज टू बी डिग इट आउट, राइट? कोई अगर ऐसा है जो इस चीज को पूरा रिसर्च, वेल रिसर्च लेके आए और पढ़े, जैसा आप बता रहे हो कि वेस्टर्न में मतलब वेस्ट में इसके लिए रिसर्च हुए हैं, लोग पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हैं, दे आर अप्रूविंग दीज थिंग्स, राइट? दीज थिंग्स आर हियर ओनली. Somebody was mentioning the Jain diet also, so you will see lots of doctors and approving the Jain diets also, जो before जो 6 बजे से पहले है, basically day before diet, eating before sunset and everything. So these are somewhere related to your health, but इस पे कोई proof नहीं है अभी scientifically, and somebody I don't मतलब I don't know कि कोई काम कर रहा है इस पे या नहीं, but basically I have
बहुत लोग
seen.
कर रहे हैं.
हाँ, तो अगर
There's a
कर
lot
रहे
of
हैं तो
research also.
yes.
I will also add, I know a person in my society. Hi, can you people hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know a person in my society. He's 75 now, and last 20 years he has been just eating alternate days. और वो जैन है, तो जो alternate day भी खाते हैं वो he eats before sunset, So like suppose today he has eaten, tomorrow he won't eat. And I have never seen him touch wood falling sick in last 12 or 13 years I have been seeing him.
That's pretty
In
good,
fact.
but उनका just देखना आपकी protein intake कितना होता है. अगर protein intake enough नहीं हो रहा है तो that's a major problem. Long term, it's not going to work out really well for him.
But he's 75 and he's doing it from last 20 years.
That's pretty great. It's working out for him. It's not going to work out for everyone, right? Like because Jan diet is normally low in protein.
Yes, that's true because बहुत सी चीजें नहीं खाते हैं वो लोग. So I think it all suits our, like what suits our body, we have to see that. And as Anand Bhai said just now, that he takes on blood test and all, I think that is a very good thing, like to keep on check whether your diet is working for you or not. So I think it's pretty fine if he's losing.
I think we lost Pankaj again. Can Kiss, you want to say something?
Sir, is it just a second, Anand bhai, before that, I'm just leaving. I need to go now. So
Sure.
yeah, thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Okay,
Bye.
sure.
Yeah. Is it good for students, 1 meal a day? It's because I'm doing it today.
Yeah, I cannot really advise to anybody else because I'm not an expert on it. I'm not a doctor, so it's like impossible for me to advise anybody else whether you should do it or not. That's one.
It's definitely good on the pockets though.
It's good on the pockets, and if you find that it is useful, it is easy to do for a student. Imagine you have to eat only once a day. You have to plan your meal only once a day. So, I mean, but I can give few pointers if you want to use it. You go through that Lex Friedman's podcast. He has done it with 5 people at least who are doing it for years, including one doctor from Harvard who is studying longevity and anti-aging and all these stuff. He is a Western doctor with a lot of publications, and he is doing on himself as well. Okay, so I'm not saying do it, but it should make you curious. That's one. And second thing, if you decide to do it, just 2-3 things you have to definitely be very careful. One is your electrolyte intake, your multivitamin intake has to be like very optimum. And second thing is don't neglect your protein intake. And overall calories should not go below 1800 to 2000. It's very tough to include 1800 calories in a 1 hour diet, but you have to eat like a pregnant lady. Dr. Om Prakash, you wanted to say something?
Sir, और मुझे सर आपने जी सर.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Actually, Anand bhai, मुझे भी जाना पड़ेगा. So just to conclude from my side, जो भी डिस्कशन यहाँ पे हम कर रहे हैं, ये हर एक का एक पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है. जैसे मैंने शुरुआत में भी कहा कि हर आदमी के लिए अलग चीज हो सकता है वर्क करेगी. जैसे आनंद भाई के लिए फॉर एग्जांपल अगर 1 मील अ डे काम करता है, मेरे लिए जैसे मैंने कहा कि मैं ब्रेकफास्ट हेवी करता हूँ, लंच कम करता हूँ, डिनर बिल्कुल कम करता हूँ, ये मेरे लिए वर्क करता है. It all depends on your height, weight, your physical activity, your genetics and everything. So ये आप अपना अपना एक्सपीरियंस हम शेयर कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. बट बिफोर फॉलोइंग एनीवन्स एडवाइस, चाहे मैं हूँ डॉक्टर या फिर कोई भी यहाँ पे जो भी एक्सपर्ट होंगे, कोई न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट होगा, आई वुड लाइक टू रिकमेंड you go and physically consult expert in the field like nutritionist या dietitian before following any of the diet. ठीक है, तो एक जनरल डिस्कशन है जस्ट फॉर इम्प्रूविंग द नॉलेज एंड शेयरिंग द एक्सपीरियंसेस, ये मुझे लगता है. सो आनंद भाई, थैंक यू फॉर इनवाइटिंग. आई वुड लाइक टू लीव नाउ.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We also have Dr. Anil with us. He is a speaker. He's a surgeon. So I would love to hear any of the doctors, comments on whatever you are hearing. And Dr. Anil, you're there?
Yeah. Thank you, Anand. Thank you so much for this. I have a dual role actually. I'm a doctor and a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, which basically deals again with a lot of maybe dietary related kind of advices a lot of patients ask. And I'm also a cook. I love cooking. It's a passion for me. And a lot of times I have a clash between these two. When I come home and I cook and I do something different, which I want to do because I like to do it. And at the same time, I remember in the morning during OPD, somebody would have asked me about some diet or something, especially people with arthritis and, have weight issues. So the very fact that there are so many diets being discussed basically tells you that there's no one answer. And if there was one particular answer for somebody, it's basically more of customization, which again says that one size doesn't fit all at all, especially when it matters to diet. And then I think a lot of people are confused or just copy what people tell. If one meal a diet has become a fad now, everybody starts jumping into the bandwagon. So we need to know what is our goal, why we need to lose weight. For a person who's into the gym full time, he could be a movie actor, he could be, anybody who's interested to work out and get six packs, and his goal is different or her goal is different than what, for me as a surgeon now, why I need to be fit. And for me, it's more of sustenance in the operation theater, in my work, in my duties. For that, it is that which motivates me. Again, compared to a housewife or a homemaker who is at home, who has to do a lot of things, for her it's a different thing compared to somebody who's sitting on a desk job full day, who's not very active. And so we need to define these goals very, very personally for us, and not just go for different kind of diets, keto or intermittent or one meal, whatever it is. I think we need to be very careful on those things. In school, we were taught what is balanced diet. I still remember mugging those, balanced diet. What is carbohydrate, protein? I think we have kind of moved away from that. Everybody talks of protein and protein and protein, and body is not like that. Every cell has different requirements. Every type of organ has different requirements. Carbohydrates are required for a particular organ. Proteins are required for particular organs, and we have no say in that I will give you more proteins, so just take that is a good thing, and let's shun carbohydrates. Absolutely not. So I think the balanced diet concept, which has kind of moved away for a long time now, I think needs to be brought back. And as I said, it needs customization. The balanced diet was obviously, being practiced for so many centuries. But yeah, there were excesses. People, when your grandmother cooks something for you with love, she would put more ghee there, right? So there were excesses a lot of times. When I go home, sometimes my parents put an extra pickle. It could be a lot of salt in that, but I can't tell that. It's got, unless I have a hypertension, and then I say that I need to do a salt restricted diet. So you should know what you want, or where you need to restrict your diet, and what components. So that becomes very important. People, absolutely, people can follow a lot of different diet regimes, but they should understand why they're doing it. That's very, very important. If they don't, and they just follow the big group as a herd, I think then they'll get into trouble. And your weight control is 90% in your kitchen or in your mouth, if I want to say that, compared to 10% with your workout or your muscles. So it all depends on how you take things inside, and how smart you are in that, and how you plan that. So pointers can be there from any of these diets, right? So one meal a day is not a new concept at all, and a lot of people told about that people have been following from ancient days, right? You have 2 ekadashis per month, which means basically you kind of cleanse your body with you don't eat anything, and then so if you believe in that, you can do it, right? So there are concepts which have been there for a long time. If somebody wants a scientific explanation for that, they can as well go and search for it. But if you don't want to do that, but if you feel it's good for your body, you feel good about it. See, it's like the simple thing. You start taking coffee with sugar, and you say one day that I don't want to take a lot of sugar. You start cutting it down. Okay, it takes a couple of days of really bad for you to drink that coffee with less sugar, and after some time you cut it down a little more. Okay, and then you finally end up probably going to sugarless if you're very particular about that, right? And then after 15 days, you go back and drink a coffee with even 1 spoon sugar, you will feel so bad. So that's how our body is. It's so plastic that it gets used to it so nicely, so fast. So you need to be smart and clever of how you want to train your body. So, and body gets adapted to it very nicely. So it's like somebody was telling how they eat the chapati. So a lot of people, very obese ladies, come and with very bad arthritis. They see, I tell them to exercise, they can't exercise. Obviously, there's a lot of pain for them, and they can't go, like I said, 20 minutes brisk walk. They can't do that. There is a lot of pain, and they have a lot of weight put on over the years, right? So it's a dicey situation for them. They can't lose weight, They have to get the arthritis treated. Now, if I tell for it, if I don't do total joint replacements, I'm a hand surgeon, but if I advise a joint replacement, that amount of weight is bad for that artificial joint also. So they are caught between the devil and the deep sea, and it's not correct. So then they say, no, I hardly eat anything, right? But the way they eat or what they've eaten all these years is what is the problem now. So, but then we don't judge, we shouldn't judge people with everybody who's obese has eaten a lot of things wrongly or badly over the years. So we need to think why. There are a lot of times it could be genetic, it could be associated comorbidities. You don't even know whether some people have thyroid, hyperthyroidism, and that's why they put on weight, or they have some problem. So you need to work out that. People come and ask me, they've been taking calcium and vitamin D for years together, and you do their values. All you need to do is basically the blood values and see the and body just throws out anything you take excess. It's very nicely described. Take vitamin D supplements, take that, take this, take vitamin supplement, and people keep consuming this over the years, not even knowing that the body just throws it away. So we need to be smart and sit down with ourselves and see why you want to lose weight, how you want to lose weight, and what is the method, and take the good things of everything, and then probably take a decision what suits you. Customization, I think, is the most important thing. Discipline, of course, is the most important thing after you decide on that, right? And after that, how you maintain it is also very important over the years. And then do a review of whether it's working for you or not, and then take a decision as how you want to continue your diets. I can't prescribe any single diet. I don't diet myself for any of these kind of things. That's my personal this one. I just do because I cook and I use the ingredients. I know what it is. So sometimes I would love to put in a little more ghee for my family. I would do that, but I would always tell them this is what it is. So it's up to them if they want to actually consume that or not. So this is how I do it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Dr. I have one question for you. Like, particularly in cases of arthritis, like moderate arthritis cases and high uric acid cases, like, what kind of diet would you recommend, if at all, to bring down the uric acid or to bring down the arthritis pain?
Yeah. So as you said, arthritis now is basically, if I really want to put it in medical terms, it's a damage to the cartilage, and there are 100 reasons why a cartilage can get damaged. The commonest is, of course, we call as primary arthritis, which is age related. All of us would develop arthritis eventually because of the wear and tear as we grow old. And again, it depends on how much of wear and tear you have put your body through and how soon the arthritis comes. Okay, so if you've been doing a lot of, if you've been stressing a lot of your cartilage over the years, your arthritis might come early. Again, a lot of other factors like genetic and so many things, you should not be putting one thing. What you told is secondary arthritis. Secondary arthritis are very specific causes like uric acid and rheumatoid and so many other things. So identifying why somebody has arthritis is very important. And if you're very sure that this is because of this, so somebody has found the uric acid level high. Now, just because uric acid level is high, again, you don't straight away go and start dieting and cut down on uric acid rich diets, right? So there are so many things which have very rich uric acid, right from your tomatoes to everything, so many things. But you should know why that uric acid is high in the body. You're taking the food which has high uric acid. The food is absorbed in your intestines. It goes into the blood. It gets metabolized in liver and then kidney, and then it is thrown out. Anything excess is thrown out. Anything what is to be used is used by the body. In this chain of entire metabolism process, you should identify, or somebody, a smart physician would identify, or a nephrologist would identify, or anybody, gastroenterologist would identify where is the problem. So that is very important. Your intake is the problem, or it being metabolized is a problem. It could be a problem in the liver or in the kidney or wherever. If somebody doesn't recognize that, and if somebody tells just cut off all uric acid, eventually the levels might come down, but then what uric acid you're supposed to get for normally a natural body is also cut off. So if you ask me that question, how will you prevent it and all, it's very difficult unless I know the cause why the uric acid went high in somebody and why it's caused arthritis, right? So those high uric acid has a metabolism pathway where it affects the cartilage eventually. So yes, so if you identify those things, because there could be a major problem in the kidney where it's not being metabolized and secreted out. So intake, how much ever you change, it might not actually give you the answer later unless you tackle the basic problem there, right? What we do most of the time is we don't see the cause, we just treat symptomatically. You have arthritis, yes. There are stages where there are times where you can't reverse it. Cartilage is one, hyaline cartilage, what we call in the major joints like the hip and knee joints. Once they get damaged, they don't get replaced by normal cartilage. They get replaced by what's called fibrous cartilage, which is basically a kind of inferior quality cartilage, which doesn't take the strain of our day-to-day activities. So hyaline cartilage has got that resilience which takes up all our, if you run and skip and jump and do everything, it has that resilience, especially in younger age group. At least up to 40, they have so much of fluid and good things in them that they take all the stress. But beyond that, they have to go wear and tear. And what I initially mentioned was primary arthritis sets in slowly. Now, if that gets damaged because of infection, trauma, or uric acid, or rheumatoid, or anything high in at a younger age, that cartilage doesn't get replaced. The hyaline cartilage, that's the technical name. It gets replaced by what's called fibrous cartilage. Body will repair it. The body is tuned to repair any damage in your system. So it does, the new kind of cartilage comes, but it might not be so strong to take your stresses. So that's when the pain comes. So the cartilage covering of the joint, once it gets worn off, the underlying bone gets exposed, which are very, very sensitive nerve endings are there. That's why a person gets pain because of arthritis. Okay, it's called subchondral bone. Sub is below, chondral is cartilage. So just below the cartilage, those nerve endings become which are very, very pain sensitive. That's what causes pain. And so we treat them symptomatically, basically by trying to reduce pain, giving you analgesics, anti-inflammatory, giving some support like brace. And eventually, at the end of the day, if the cartilage is really bad and you can't do anything with medical management and your pain is so bad that you can't do your own daily activities, then we go for a replacement surgery. But that replacement surgery is again not an answer for everything. It has its own pros and cons, and it can't be done in all the joints possible, right? So some joints have, like a knee and a hip joint, has very good results with the implants and processes we have today, right? They have a shelf life of almost 15 to 20 years. And after that, they're pan-made, obviously. They also get loosened. They also get worn out. They can get damaged. They can break. They can come out. So many things. There are enough complications of that. So this is how an arthritis is treated. The cause is important. And then what stage it is important. What patient wants is important. The quality of life. And that's how the treatment is decided upon.
Yeah, in the literature, in normal literature, in magazines and all, we read that there are diets which are inflammatory in nature, and then there are diets which are anti-inflammatory in nature. For example, nowadays, a lot of things are being said against vegetable oils and seed oils, that they are inflammatory. Or carbs is also carbohydrate. Too much of carbohydrate and certain kind of carbohydrate is considered to be inflammatory. And joints which is already having breakage of cartilage, or inflammation of joint is already there. So is there any relief if we change our diet to something non-inflammatory, or something which reduces the inflammation?
For every literature you can produce, I can produce 10 opposite literatures. I mean, that's how the scientific world works, right? So there was a huge campaign against coconut oil for a long time. There was a huge campaign against ghee for a long time. Then came in the palm oil and other things. Then came the sunflower oil, the fatty acid, omega fatty acids and other things. And right now, people are again now coming back to ghee and coconut oil and everything. So there are a lot of commercial interests happening there. There are very rigorous scientific evidence sometimes is missing, right? So what you want to believe is up to you in that scientific world, right? Every study will have a counter study which tells the opposite. Again, I mean, I don't want to go to the specifics of how a study is conducted and how they arrive at the significance of these. It's a matter of kind of, or you're a trader, how it is. So it's just a jumbling of numbers sometimes. If somebody tells statistically significant difference is found in this between this and this and this, somebody should really go and study, or rather, completely read that article, how they arrived at. There could be so many methodological flaws there, which we should not be. I mean, without reading, obviously, we can't comment on that. But so these things keep coming in the newspapers, magazines every time. And do you really completely change that? I don't think anybody completely. If somebody said coconut oil was not bad, I don't think anybody completely stopped it, right? If you come to my place here in Manipal, Udupi, coastal regions, and in Kerala, and all, every day people use coconut oil. And I've seen at least most of the population, they are not obese. And if you go to Kerala, they tell the same thing. I mean, they have thick, dark hair. I don't see very obese people, right? So they might claim that coconut oil is good. But if you go to the northern part, it could be completely different. People use mustard oil. People use so many other different things, right? One of the most important thing is always to use local produce. I think that the secret of your diet is actually that. The moment we go out from that in terms of trying to adapt to new things or different kind of diets, artificially, put in diets in those areas, things start changing, right? If you are in a particular place and that place produces very healthy stuff and fresh stuff, I think you should be using that. So the local produce is what is a secret for a lot of things, and we don't do that. We generally, again, obviously because of rampant commercialization, and also obviously the accessibility is so good now. You can order anything from any place online, right? So try ordering what you grew up with, from where you grew up with, or what is the best thing in your local place, right? I think that solves a lot of problems. And I think that's what people used to do earlier. Obviously, they used to eat what they used to grow in their farms and fields and wherever, and that changed once the city life took over. Okay, and I think that's the answer for that. You want to believe the scientific literature or the face value of it. I think it's not correct.
Hi, doctor. I just have one quick question. So, it's a very sincere one, okay? How much time does a doctor get to study the nutrition, right, over his medical career? Like when he's starting off, how much time does he spend? How much time is he taught about the nutrition in the whole? Because from what I have read on the Harvard website in the US, they are only taught 20 to 25 hours. So I would like to know from you, what about the Indian scene, right? Yeah.
We are taught every day, in fact, for that matter. I mean, you go to any subject, you enter any department, you're taught about that. You go to orthopedics department for your posting, you're taught about. Somewhere things come in. It's not like you need dedicated 20 hours or 25 hours about nutrition. That happens straight away when you're in physiology. When you're in the first year, you biochemistry, you learn about that. That's what I said. Every cell is made up of everything: carbohydrates, amino acids, proteins, fat, everything. So who are we to deny that particular cell, which is the building block, which has everything? I can't put only proteins inside that cell. It's not correct. It has its proportion of carbohydrate elements. When I say carbohydrates, it is broken down into those elements, basic elements. And there is fat cells, and they have their own adipose cells and everything. So we can't really, nobody can decide for that matter how much we want to put into our body, right? We don't know it. Even now we don't have answers. Even now we are talking about so many different diets, each and every day new things, which means we don't know the answer, right? So as a medical student, right from anatomy to biochemistry to physiology to everything, pathology, every subject we go, we are taught in a direct or an indirect way to a certain extent, right? And the Western way of teaching is different. The Indian way of teaching is different, as in Indian medical schools, right? So each department teaches something. When they come to orthopedics, I would be talking about vitamin D metabolism and calcium and phosphorus and so many things for my students. When they go to medicine, every case, which is probably related to diet, if it could be a liver failure, it could be thyroid, everything, they would be taught about that, and the diet part comes in there. If they go to surgery department, again, thyroid is a problem, liver is an issue, and everything. If they go to ophthalmology, they'll be taught about vitamin A and carrots and things like that. So it is not that kind of a Western thing where 20 hours is for nutrition. So you learn nobody learns everything about nutrition like that, right? And it's a continuous process. It can't just stop at one point of the 20 years or 20 hours or 25 hours. No, it won't. So how much you adapt and learn about it, and how tomorrow when you become a specialist in a particular area, when you become an ophthalmologist, you know what is good for the eye, and you should be, as a general physician and a later a specialist, you should be advising your patients based on that. So you need to go back and revisit your nutrition lessons and then adapt to what you are practicing. If you become an orthopedic surgeon, I should know everything about vitamin D and calcium and everything for my patients. What is the bone metabolism and how to keep your bone healthy, right? If you're a surgeon, you should know everything about thyroid and liver and abdomen and all parts of abdomen, as in how the liver works, how the intestine works, and what is the diet. If they have a IBD, and if they have irritable bowel syndrome, if they have Crohn's disease, or why the problem is happening in malnourishment or malnutrition. So it is a continuous process, and we can't, pinpoint on any curriculum telling that you were not taught this. It's absolutely not necessary also to have a very dedicated hours. It should be a continuous process. It should be reinforced, and it should later become practical whenever you become a specialist or you go into a particular field, and you should start customizing it again for your patients. And that is a learning which we need to do.
Sir, that question I asked about inflammation and diets which are inflammatory or anti-inflammatory, is there like too much of carbohydrate contributing to inflammation at all? Like that's a myth according to you, and if you have to advise someone who is having like moderate pain in his joints to go for anything which reduces the inflammation, is there any dietary guidelines for that?
Anand, I can only tell that moderation is the key for everything. So there's anything too much is bad, obviously. So as I said, if there is a problem with, you have somebody has an inflammatory kind of arthritis, which is classically rheumatoid, or we call as ankylosing spondylitis. There is a host of inflammatory arthritis coming into picture, right? And even uric acid and gout and everything, there is some amount of inflammation. So once we know the cause, we can customize to what is to be avoided. So we can't generally say that carbohydrates are the culprit. No, I don't think so. That's not correct. So as a doctor or a surgeon or whatever it is, we always try to get down to the basic problem and the cause. We don't blame the diet as such as a whole, because anything in excess obviously is bad. Somebody was very nicely telling, the moment I cut down my alcohol, it made a difference. That is correct, because anything excess, you cut down, it obviously your body is happy about it. So if it's getting a one dimension kind of, the alcohol robs you of so much of vitamins and everything. So obviously once you cut down on that, so we know alcohol is bad. So we should know the moderation part of it. We know smoking is bad. And I never tell my patients, it might sound very shocking in this space, but I never tell my patients to stop alcohol and all those things, right? I always tell them reduce it, because nobody stops the moment I tell them to stop, right? It's the discipline which the person has. There are enough people who are so determined, they would stop and come back and tell me that, Doc, I stopped, even though you told me to reduce gradually, I stopped it, and I'm very happy about that. But there's a 94% of the patients who would not do that because it's become a habit. But then you reduce it, make it moderate. And again, there's enough literature. If you want to drink, you can always tell that there's enough literature where they tell that the wine is good for health and so many other things are good. But how much is good is also told there, the moderation part of it, right? So it's what you want to read there, you read and then you adapt it, right? We know smoking kills, correct? So people might argue telling, I've been smoking from 35 years, I don't have lung cancer. Yes, you are lucky enough to escape that, but there are enough people who have died because of that. So it's how you take that into consideration. So if there is a problem with carbohydrates, if somebody is pointed out and that is causing more of inflammatory kind of activity, we need to know whether it's correct for your body. That's all. I don't want to generalize that. I'm not an expert on any diet. I'm just basically a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon who has finished my MBBS and MS. And that is my knowledge. As I said, it's a continuous process. We learn and we try to get new information every day. Even for vitamin D and calcium and so many things, every day new articles come, right? And nowadays they link vitamin D to arthritis, which earlier nobody bothered about it. So people, they link vitamin D to so many things nowadays, right? And sometimes, yes, you see the proof, because people have so much less vitamin D and they remarkably do well once they are supplemented. So that's what I said. So taking calcium, vitamin D, and other vitamin for years together without even checking the levels is useless, because the body won't bother. It'll just throw out all the excess. It'll take what it wants. But if it can't, if the body is damaged and it can't take it more, it starts depositing. And those are the times when we suffer, right? You have hypervitaminosis, you have vitamin D toxicity. All those things happen because the body is now not able to control that. It's lost its capacity to control your excess, what you're doing to the body. And that's when we suffer.
Thank you, Doctor, so much for your time. Nupur, you wanted to add something? We'll conclude in another 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks, Anand. My name is Nupur, and I have type 1 diabetes since the past 26 years, and I've been following this conversation. It's really interesting to see, the different thoughts that have been coming in. So, I also do intermittent fasting and a very low carb way of eating, and I've found that it helps my diabetes greatly. And I've also noticed that people that I know, other diabetics who also follow these methods, it works for them. So I think, like a lot of speakers have said before, you have to figure what you want to do and why you want to do it. And obviously, there's no one size that fits all. So yeah, I think that's about it.
So, like, what is the window for intermittent fasting?
So, my goal for fasting is not to lose weight or not anything of that sort. I do intermittent fasting because it's convenient. That's one. I get to spend less time in the kitchen, and I also do it because it helps sort of keep my sugar stable. For us as diabetics, we are often told to eat every 2 hours, and I think for me personally, that was the worst advice I received because I ended up putting on weight. My blood sugars were all over the place. So what's really helped me is to do IF. So I usually do a 16/8, but sometimes I also have one meal a day, and I don't find any drastic difference or benefit. I just find it easier to space out my food intake over 2 meals. So that's what I do.
Yeah, Neha, go on. You had raised your hand.
Yeah, hi everybody. Dr. Anil, you mentioned about a thyroid. So, I just want to ask that what should be the ideal diet for a person who is having thyroid? And they also talk about that this is the kind of medicine the person needs to consume throughout his or her life. So, if you can share some views on that.
Yeah, I'm again. I want to put a disclaimer that I'm not an expert. I'm more of an orthopedic surgeon. But from the basic science, what I've read, if somebody has hypothyroidism, which is obviously deficiency in the hormone, that requires replacement throughout their life because the thyroid gland itself is damaged. Again, you need to know what is the cause. There are so many causes why a thyroid is not producing the hormone anymore. So there are a lot of causes of hypothyroidism itself. And so if we know for sure that the thyroid is not able to produce the hormone, it is definitely required for so many things, for so many different metabolisms, calcium and everything. And so it is required. So it is an essential kind of hormone for the body. So you need to have the replacement. There's no dietary thing in that. It's the hormone replacement, which is the answer for that. So they would tell you to take the hormone throughout your life because the deficiency has to be covered there. There's no other way. And at least we are lucky enough that we can. There's so many hormones which probably might be not be able to work so effectively. Thyroid is one thing which even with an oral tablet works very effectively. So in that sense, that deficiency is completed there. So that's the answer. So a lot of times. When you know the cause for the deficiency and replacing it with it solves the problem. Now there's another condition called hyperthyroidism, and it again has issues because now there excess thyroid. So you have thyroid. When people say, they just say I have thyroid, but you need to again specify it's hypo or hyperthyroidism. So in hyperthyroidism, when the thyroid is excess, so that's why I keep harping on the moderation. Even the body needs to have the moderation in terms of its own production. So if there's a problem with the thyroid gland which starts producing more and more hormones, then it causes a different way of expressing itself in terms of hyperthyroiditis, which is again a problem in terms of hypermetabolism. So many new symptoms come, and there we need to subdue the thyroid by giving it something which actually reduces the thyroid production. And a lot of times, at least the common causes where there would be a problem, a tumor or something in the gland which is producing more, so people go for thyroidectomy and things like that. But there are medical treatment where you can subdue the thyroid not to produce more. So hypothyroidism requires supplements, and hyperthyroidism requires that it needs to be subdued either medically or surgically. I hope it answered your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anybody would like to add any last remarks before we close this session? It was a wonderful session, and I thank you, all of you, for being here and investing your time, at least being curious about it. And thank you, Dr. Anil, for answering so many questions patiently.
Sure, sure. I just want to add one thing here. I'll just go against the doctor, whatever Dr. Anil said. Thyroid is definitely a lifestyle problem, and you don't have to eat your, take your pills forever. It is a lifestyle disorder. You can fix it with your diet. Doctors are not going to tell you that. I'm 100% sure you can fix it. Figure out your free T3, free T4, TSH levels, get the functional nutrition optimal range, and you will be on it. Trust me. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Again, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Anil, and I really appreciate all the doctors who take part in my spaces, having studied for MBBS for 4 years or 5 years, then doing the rural posting, then competing for MS and MD, and then being a surgeon or being an MD doctor, and then practicing to gain experience. Probably takes another 10 years or so to reach a stage where you then still you're saying that you are learning, or you are not an expert. That makes, I mean, that's such a modest statement, and so much of hard work goes. I believe that doctors are, I mean, society being thankful or not, but doctors are like one set of profession where like extremely hard work is required to memorize so many things and to do so much of OT and ward visit and so on. So so much of gratitude is due for giving you valuable time. And science, as you rightly said, is highly debatable subject. And earlier sugar was the culprit, then before that fat was the culprit, then we hear so many different views about vitamin D. So we all are trying to discover the truth and the absolute truth, but that shouldn't take away the fact that you are the expert here, having spent more than 10 good years of your life spending only with patients and only with diseases and only with nutrition and what works and what doesn't work. So we are just laymen. So yeah, thank you everyone, all the doctors who have attended it especially. And I concluded, good night everyone.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks for the opportunity.